Hi, and welcome to the Breaking Barriers podcast. I'm Georgia,
And I'm Megan.
and this episode is a little bit of an introduction about who we are and what the purpose of this podcast is. So, we're going to talk a bit about our backgrounds and how long we've been training and our experiences as women in the sport. But we'll also talk about the purpose of this podcast, how it came about, and what you can expect from future episodes. So, Megan and I are both parkour athletes and coaches. We've met many a times at jams, events, and we've even worked together. And during all those times, we've spoken a lot about our experiences in parkour. And as two women in parkour, that experience is a little bit different than I think it is for your typical man who trains parkour. And whilst, as women, we do chat a lot about this, and I've spoken to many people about their experiences, but we felt a little bit that there lacked a space where women could really speak openly about these things, and also a lack of role models. And as two coaches, we felt that we could maybe bring something to the parkour space for young girls that have started training who maybe seek role models. We hope with our episodes that we can provide both information that is useful to them in their training, but also a space to feel supported and to feel like actually there can be a community that supports you and that hopefully helps women to stay in the sport. What do you think, Megan?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when we go to these events, we're noticing that there is very few women that attend these big events. And I find that when we go and we meet with these women, we have really meaningful conversations with them about our experiences and about why that may be and how it can be fixed. But these conversations don't tend to go outside of that little bubble when we meet with each other. And I think we definitely want to give a bigger platform to it where we can discuss these and open it up to the wider world and really make a difference with the podcast. So we want to talk about the reasoning behind it and what we can do to fix it, which I think is going to make a huge difference, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to read out our purpose? Because we've tried to sort of summarize that and have a concise purpose. So, do you want to read out that and go into some
Yeah,
stats that you want to?
yeah. So our purpose is to encourage more women and girls to take up parkour, and we want to support them in that journey and give them a bit of advice and encouragement on in training, outside of training. We're also going to discuss nutrition and things like that. But women are definitely the minority in parkour, which I think what it comes down to. We want to speak up for them and highlight the challenges that they may face and what stops them from either staying in the sport or stops them from starting at all. So when we conducted a bit of research before the podcast, it was Women in Sport that I read it from actually, and it said 1 million girls who consider themselves sporty in primary school, they don't actually carry on from sport after primary school, which I think is such a young age. And that comes down to these topics of like people judging them feeling not so confident in what they're doing. They may not feel safe outdoors. They may feel a lot of external pressures like schoolwork, but that definitely moves on to like later life as well, with pressures of work and family life and things like that. And I think these are such big topics to feel as a child as well. So we really want to shed light to these and hopefully like debunk some of the things that come along with that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think they're huge stats. 1 million girls is crazy to me. But also we've both discussed as well like the lack of positive role models. And I know in an age now where social media is massive, that has probably changed slightly, and there definitely are more role models than maybe when me and you started training. But that's definitely something, especially we wanna fix 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned also there was some of the research talked about one of the main problems being an increase in self-awareness and as girls go through puberty and starting to care more for what they look like and caring what others think. I definitely read some research. I might have put it in the next somewhere else. Anyway, in one of our future episodes, but essentially about how women really worry about judgment. And if you
Yeah,
think of
yeah,
being in a class where it's all men and ultimately, whether the level is beginner or even if the level is high, like the level is going to be different between men and women. And in a class, it can feel quite, it can either feel amazing and feel really encouraging and really supportive, and you can have a great community, or you can start to feel a little bit like you're falling behind.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, it is down to great coaching, and there are some amazing coaches in parkour. We are very like
Yeah.
blessed in parkour with some amazing coaches, but it still is an issue where there is a lack of female coaches. So you will still be
100%. Yeah.
coached
Yeah.
by a man, and it will be a lot harder for it will be a lot harder for a guy to understand sometimes some of the challenges you're experiencing. The way we learn parkour differs slightly. The challenges we have in terms of hypermobility change, the challenges we have with our menstrual cycle. Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of things that I really appreciate any guy that is like learning about that and keeping up with it, and trying to be really supportive to his female students. But ultimately, one of the reasons women drop out is for a lack of positive role models or a lack of role models.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some fantastic experiences with male coaches. I mean, I know you know Tom Redfern and Denny. They have been fantastic for me growing up and learning parkour. But it's so funny because until me and you trained together like one on one in September, that was, I mean, I started parkour when I was 11 and I'm 19 now, and that was the first time I have ever felt like really comfortable, because I've never trained with a woman, and me training with you for the first time in 2025 when I started in 2017, I just find that completely insane. And I've had an all right time, to be honest, because I'm the type of person that gets on really well with like males and things like that, and I've trained with them all my life, and I feel comfortable in that space as well. But I can't describe like the euphoria I felt training with other women for the first time ever, to be honest. And I just want that for as many women as possible
Yeah.
to feel the same way I felt.
Yeah. So you came to London in September because Megan lives in Manchester and I live in London, and maybe you just messaged me and said like, I have some free time. Can we meet
Yeah,
up
yeah,
and train?
yeah,
I think it was like that. And then when we were training together, towards the end of the day, you told me this thing. I didn't say anything at the time, but you told me, um, yeah, I'd never trained with another woman. And I was literally shocked. I was like,
yeah,
what? Like, ever? Because also you're a very social person. You have social media. You obviously
yeah,
follow like other female parkour athletes. But I just hadn't thought about, and I have the privilege of living in London, where there's always been various women training of different levels. And I
yeah,
just hadn't really thought about Manchester being a smaller city. But when you told me, I
yeah.
was
I mean,
shocked and also really happy. Like I was like, I'm so glad we met up today. But I
yeah,
had
yeah,
no idea that this was like your first experience training with a woman. Because also we trained
yeah,
really well side by side. Like there's
yeah,
definitely some things you're stronger at than me. But also there was some things that day, because it was like my spots, my home ground, that I pushed
yeah.
you on. And
It was such a good experience. I mean, I will like training in London. Full stop is just a brilliant experience in itself. But being with someone who is like similar ability to you can really bounce off each other, and we get on really well as well. So it all round, it was just a fantastic experience. And there is another woman who trains in Manchester as well, but we don't get together very often, and our
Mhm.
training styles are very different. So to be with another woman and just feel that like connection and that like relating to each other, it was just brilliant. So yeah,
It was really good. It
yeah,
was really
yeah,
good. It was a really good day. And there was this arm jump that was like 10 of my feet, I think, which was a big arm jump for me. And I'd done it before. And then
yeah,
you were there. And I was like, oh, I've just suggested it. Like, I've got to do it. And then it started raining. And I was like, okay, I need to do it like now because it's
yeah,
going to rain and it might get slippery. Luckily, it was like red brick, so it didn't get very slippery. So then I got up and just did it. And I was like, oh, phew, okay, great. And then you just got up and did it straight up, like just immediately, like copy paste.
yeah.
And then literally like within a minute it poured, like
Oh,
absolutely the heavens
yeah,
open. And there's
pouring
a
it
video of
down.
us like under a tree and I'm filming you and there's you and then behind just like heavy rain just
Yeah,
showering down. And then we went to yard. But yeah, it was such a good day.
Yeah, brilliant. Right,
So
shall we introduce each other? Let's do a proper introduction so people can get to know us a little bit better. Right, you want to go first, Georgia?
Yes. Bear with. So, a little bit about me and my. Oh, sorry guys. Technical issues. Right, I'm back. So a little bit about me, who I am, where I'm from. I'm Georgia, personal trainer, parkour coach, and now full-time online coach. I live in London, and I've spent the past 18 months building my online coaching business, which I feel like we could talk about more in another episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I think it is one of the first female-focused online parkour coaching businesses, which is a big deal, and I think it's an important one. And it's not to blow my own trumpet, it's actually more to say that this is becoming a reality and it's exciting, and that more female coaches should come into this space. I know you are thinking about it as well. So
Yeah.
it's something that's very new. And I've spent the last 18 months kind of figuring it out, let's say, which has been so satisfying. And I have now a successful online business. And that's why I say, you know, I think people understand more clearly what a personal trainer is. But essentially, I'm a personal trainer, but I work online. And it means I can help more people, but also I can help people in different locations. And actually, I find online works better because most people, especially if they're training parkour, know how to walk to the gym and go into the gym and train, but when they're there, they don't know what to train, and that's what I help them with. So I write their programs, and then I also catch up with them on a call about nutrition, and then I keep them accountable. So then I have actually multiple touch points with them throughout the week where I'm checking in on them. Every client is slightly different. Some clients we speak more often, some clients less, but essentially I'm there being like, so how did your training go? Or, you know, we said we were going to increase protein. How's your protein this week? And that's what I do. I was born in London and I grew up there until I was 8. And then when I was 8 years old, I moved to Italy. My mum is Italian, so we moved to Florence, and I moved with my mum and my 2 siblings. And I lived there until I was 18, so until university. I started parkour in Florence in the last 2 years that I lived there. So I was about 15, 16, I think 16 when I started. I went to an outdoor class and I had a really positive experience. With a coach called Antonio, which I thought I would shout out to him. He's still training and still coaching. So yeah, I'm glad it was him and that he was able to deliver such a positive experience for me. It also came, you know, how these things go. It came at the right time. I was ready for it, and I was very unfit, and I didn't do sports. I hadn't excelled in any sport. I had dabbled in many, but I went to the outdoor class, and it wasn't that I was good and I was like, oh, this is what I should be doing. It was more that everything stopped and I just didn't think about anything else. And for 2 hours, just focused on what he was telling me to do. And I loved it. And there was definitely an element of, what's the word? Like naivety and kind of, like, I didn't know how much I needed to learn. I didn't know how much stronger I needed to get. There was a bit of naivety in that sense, but it was kind of good because it meant I didn't stop. And I think that also came from the people that were around me who really encouraged me. I actually credit to that group that I started with. There was only about 12 of us, but they just treated me like they treated everyone else, even the people who were good at it. They just treated us all the same, and they just encouraged me. Like when I was struggling with something, they encouraged me. Then when I got better, they told me I'd got better. And when I achieved, say, a new jump or a new movement, they celebrated it like it was like a really big achievement, which it was for me. And that kind of constant encouragement and essentially like a great community kept me going. And eventually I did get strong, and eventually I did get better. And actually that happened quite a lot later. It was like a number of years before that happened. But their approach and the way they treated me as equal was actually really important. Whereas I think in some other sports like athletics, I had felt like I was behind, and that then made me less motivated to go. Whereas here I felt like I was a part of something, a part of a group that actually cared about me.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So that was really powerful and really important for someone who didn't really have a background in sport. And I always think that I started quite late, but at the end of the day, it was still 16. Like, I work with people now who are starting in their 40s. Like, yeah, 16 is late, maybe, but it's also 16. Like, great if you start at 16. The training philosophy in Florence was very ADD, art de déplacement, which comes from the founders of parkour, the Yamakasi. And although I don't specifically train like that now, I do actually think you can still see that in the way I train today. And it's interesting because people have mentioned to me in the past or in recent years that they didn't know that I was ADD or that I trained with art de déplacement. Because yeah, I actually now in London, the way we train is a lot more lifestyle training and a lot more closer to maybe how parkour or free running is than art de déplacement. But that was actually how I started, and it gave me a lot. It was a lot of very hardcore training, a lot of outdoor conditioning without any weights. It helped me to get strong for sure, and yeah, I think you can still see it in some of the ways I train and how much I value being strong. I have now been training parkour for 14 years, and I wanted to do a little mention of some female role models because although we didn't have many, and I started 14 years ago, so there really weren't many, but there were two women that will always stay with me, or there are because they are still around. But one is Giada. Giada was training in Italy. I don't believe trains parkour anymore, but she's still training. I'm sure she's somewhere training. She was a little pocket rocket. She was very short, very powerful, very fast, and very obsessed with parkour. So she was training a lot. I remember we did a conditioning challenge, which was to hold a plank on your forearms or on your hands for 30 minutes. You couldn't put your knees down. You couldn't. You
30 minutes, oh my God.
This is what I mean about how we used to train. But
Yeah, wow.
her partner said to Jada, because Jada wasn't there for the training because she was on a school trip, because she was like 17, 18, and she was on some school trip. But she said, I got up before the school trip and did the 30 minutes, but she wasn't with us. She was on her own. So she did it in the morning on her own. And her partner said to her,
Oh
like,
my
how did you
God.
find it? And her partner, he said to her, how did you find it? And her answer was, it was alright, it was a bit boring. And he laughed because that is Jada. She's just like, she wouldn't be like, oh, it was really tough, or nothing was tough for Jada. It was, if anything, it was just a bit boring. So she was really inspiring.
Wow.
And then the last thing I'll say is, yeah, in London there was a key role model who is a key role model for a lot of people in that time, in that era in London of like 10, 14 years ago. And that's Shirley Darlington Rowat, who is Blaine's wife, but also an exceptional athlete, extremely strong. She has pulled a London bus and done all sorts of crazy feats. But for those people who are maybe more familiar, because I don't want to put her as Blaine's wife, but a lot of people will be familiar with Blaine and his blog back in the day. And Shirley is his wife. They now have a daughter together. And she still definitely trains parkour, but is less present in the kind of parkour scene or the sort of meetups that we do regularly. But in her own time, she still trains. And Shirley, yeah, kind of similar to me, went from not being particularly sporty to then being exceptional and doing many muscle ups and completing her parkour adapt level 2 multiple times. She used to do it once a year just to make sure she could still do it. She'd do the
Wow.
assessment once a year. Yeah, so she is very, very tough. And so that was also a great role model to me. I was just like, cool, I want to be like her. And that helped. That definitely helped because it gave me, I guess, a vision of like, okay, that's what I want to be like. That's who I want to be like. But anyway, I have rambled enough. I hope that gives you a little more of a picture of my background. I still love parkour. In fact, I texted my first ever coach the other day because I don't really speak to him much anymore, and just to tell him like, I'm so glad I came to your classes when I started, and I said to him, I love it more every year. So, yeah, it's a really nice feeling to feel like I'm enjoying it more as I get older, not less, and I plan to keep doing it for a very long time.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I mean, the fact that like you growing in love as you get older is just fantastic, and I think that's a lot to say about parkour in itself. And the thing I love most about parkour is that you can adapt it to so many different levels and ages, and however you feel, it can be adapted. And like you don't have to compete if you don't want to. It can be really casual, it can be really competitive. You can pretty much make it what you want. And I think it is a fantastic sport for everyone, which is just brilliant.
Yeah.
So I'll do a little introduction about myself as well. As you know, my name's Megan. I'm a parkour coach and also an athlete. And more recently, I've just qualified as a personal trainer as well, which is so exciting for me. I'm really buzzing about that. But as you found out before, I'm based in Manchester, but I live somewhere between Liverpool and Manchester. I know Liverpool has a parkour community itself, but I've always been really drawn to Manchester for some reason. My first parkour classes were in Manchester, so I think I've just stuck there since I first started. But I've always been really sporty, to be honest. Like, as a kid, I've grown up a lot around football. You know, my dad takes me to a lot of football matches. We're Everton season ticket holders for those of you that are bothered. But yeah, I've always loved football and I've played it for most of my life and I still play it now. It's definitely been my number one for a long, long time. But since I started parkour, I think football has been knocked off the top spot for many of the reasons we've already discussed. The fact that it's just a brilliant sport, the community, and you can just make it your own, which I love. Every day it's a new challenge, and I always find ways to fulfill myself with it. Whereas football is very based on like external factors. So like if you score a goal, you get praised, but if you don't score a goal, you won't. Whereas parkour, it comes from within you, so you can praise yourself for whatever you do, whether it's like a low level skill or a high level skill. It comes from inside you, which I think is just brilliant, and it teaches you lessons that you can carry on in life as well. Um, but yeah, I started parkour when I was 11, and that was through a Ronnie Street Stunts YouTube tutorial. I don't know if you know Ronnie Street Stunts, Georgia.
No,
But yeah, he made brilliant tutorials. I think his full name is Ronnie Shalvis. He's still a fantastic athlete. I think he trains still. But yeah, he's American anyway. But there was a venue in Manchester, so after I watched that tutorial, I begged my mum for months and months to take me to a parkour class. And luckily for me, it was like 20 minutes away in Manchester, which was brilliant. It was at a venue called Evolve, which has unfortunately closed down now. It was fantastic, and it was such a shame that it closed down. But that's where I met Denny, and Tom Redfern as well. So they've been the two main coaches that I've always had, and they're fantastic guys. So shout out to them. And I'm lucky enough now that I actually coach alongside Denny for his company, Free Spirit. And I can't praise him enough, and I can't praise the company enough. I'm in such a good position with coaching right now that I'm so thankful for the opportunities he gave me. So once Evolve closed, he actually gave me the opportunity to volunteer with him. I think that was when I was about 13 or so. I started volunteering. It was just brilliant. I mean, it really developed my confidence and developed my skills. And I remember being so shy at that age, but it definitely like fulfilled me in a certain way, which I knew that that's the direction I wanted to go into 100%. And then in July 2024, that's when I qualified with Adapt with my level 1 coaching qualification, which was a fantastic course actually. I really enjoyed it. I mean, Dan Edwards, who runs it, he was fantastic, and I'll definitely learn a lot from him. And yeah, when I passed that, I took over a number of different classes as part of Free Spirit. So I run 2 locations now across Manchester, which yeah, I really enjoy it. I love coaching, and just, yeah, I can't praise it enough. But yeah, right now I'm doing a degree in sports business management, so hopefully I shall qualify from that in 2028. I'm only in my first year right now, and yeah, more recently I've qualified as a personal trainer, which is really really good. So after observing Georgia, I hope to become an online coach myself. I think you personally have inspired me a lot in that sense. So I'm so grateful for the role models that I've had, like from different coaches, because I think each person that I come across has definitely shaped me to become the person I am. And yeah, so I'll give a female role model as well. Growing up in like the age of social media, definitely 100% Katie McDonald. She was the first like female that I ever saw on social media, and she was the first female that I ever saw doing parkour shortly after I started myself. And I just felt like I could relate to her being another female. I think our movement styles are very different, but just seeing another woman in that space that I'd never seen before, because when I first started training as well, there was no other women in my class or anything like that. There was no other women that I ever observed in the gym. I think I may have been the only one for a long time until it closed. So yeah, seeing Katie was fantastic for me, especially being like 11, 12. You definitely need someone like that, and obviously we've discussed that that's what we want to bring with this podcast. But yeah, that's a bit about me.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
we'll start wrapping it up because I think we've yapped a lot this time round. But we're going to be at Ladies in Leuven next week, which I'm so excited for. It's going to be a
I'm
fantastic
so
event.
excited.
Yeah, it's going to be brilliant. It's a fantastic women's event. It's in Belgium. We're going to be travelling up together, and I think we're going to have a really good time. So we hope that we're going to see some listeners there as well. This podcast episode will probably go out after we've been to the event, but we hope that many of the people we meet are going to listen to the podcast, and we hope to meet a lot of you as well. And in future episodes, we're definitely going to be sharing upcoming events as well. We've got so many lined up this year. I think we've got Project Underground coming up, and then FemGaps are doing an event in May. We've also got the women's event in Copenhagen. There's so many we can list, and we're hoping to get down to most of them, to be honest. And yeah, we'll give some reviews of the events that we're attending, and also let you guys know where we're going to be as well.
Yep, exactly. So after as well, Ladies in Leuven, we are going to do a little review of it. Not at all to criticize it, more to provide an insight into what it was like, so that you can kind of find out, if you didn't go, that maybe you'd want to go next time. And also to get excited about it and chat about like the amazing people we met, and what the benefits are of having events like that. So I think it'll be really interesting actually for people to listen to as well if they're thinking about even running an event like that on a smaller scale in their hometown, for example. But yes, you've been listening to the Breaking Barriers podcast, our first episode. We've done it. It's here. You can follow us on Instagram at Breaking Barriers Podcast _, or follow our also follow our coaching accounts.
Hopefully,
Are,
and
yeah, and follow our coaching accounts at Strength with G and at Meg Powell Fitness. If you have enjoyed this podcast and found it useful, please make sure you follow us on Spotify, leave us a 5-star review, and share it with one other girl or woman who you think would feel inspired listening to this. And that's it from us. We will see you in 2 weeks' time for episode 2. I think